All right, let's talk about the thing nobody likes to admit. Because this one hits home. This one makes people defensive. This one makes people start sentences with, yeah, but you don't understand. Good. That's how you know we're close. Here's the observation. The moment a Trini leaves Trinidad, suddenly they can follow rules. Magically. They reach abroad and all of a sudden, they reach work on time. They follow procedures. They respect lines. They obey laws. They stop bribing. They stop cutting corners. They stop making a scene. Same people, same DNA, same accent, same childhood, different behavior. And that right there, that destroys every excuse we love to hide behind. Because if discipline was impossible, it wouldn't switch on at Piaco. But it does. Every single time. So today, we're asking a very uncomfortable question. If Trinis can suddenly function under discipline abroad, what exactly is stopping us at home? And before you answer, no. It's not race. It's not colonial trauma. It's not oppression. It's not lack of intelligence. Because none of those things disappear at customs. Let's get something straight. Trinis abroad don't become disciplined because they changed. They become disciplined because the environment changed. And more importantly, because the consequences changed. Abroad, the rules don't negotiate with you. They don't understand your situation. They don't care who you know. They don't bend because you smiled. You late? You get written up. You loud? You get fined. You break the law? You pay. Immediately. No vibes, no explanation. No, let me talk to somebody. Just consequences. And guess what? People adjust fast. Funny how that works. Now watch how this conversation usually goes. Someone says, Trinis behave better abroad. And immediately someone responds, yeah, because them people racist. No. Trinis don't behave abroad because of racism. They behave abroad because systems don't blink. You don't argue with a parking ticket. You don't reason with immigration. You don't debate a deadline. You comply. And the same people who swear Trinidad is too hard to control suddenly become model citizens. Amazing transformation. Here's the brutal truth. Discipline is not cultural. Discipline is contextual. People rise or fall to the standards around them. So when people say, Trinis just like so, what they're really saying is, this is what we allow. That's it. No conspiracy, no mystery, just tolerance. And let's go even further. Because at this point, denial is working overtime. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. Trinis don't become disciplined abroad because they respect the law. They become disciplined because they're scared of consequences. And before you get offended, good. Fear works. Fear is underrated. Fear built most of the orderly societies people love to vacation in. Not vibes, not niceness, not motivational speeches. Fear of losing your job. Fear of fines. Fear of deportation. Fear of public embarrassment. Fear of the system not caring about your excuses. That's the real engine. And in Trinidad, fear has been replaced by familiarity. People aren't scared of consequences. They're familiar with loopholes. They know somebody will intervene, somebody will delay, somebody will sympathize, somebody will explain it away. So behavior doesn't adjust. Why would it? Here's a hard truth wrapped in sarcasm. If Trinidad really wanted discipline, it wouldn't be asking for it. It would be enforcing it. You don't beg people into order. You don't reason chaos into submission. You don't negotiate structure. You impose it. And Trinidad is allergic to imposing anything that feels uncomfortable. Because uncomfortable feels wicked. Uncomfortable feels colonial. Uncomfortable feels disrespectful. So we choose comfort. Again, let's talk about the lie people love. Trini's just creative. We don't like rigidity. No, that's not creativity. That's undisciplined behavior wearing a cultural costume. Creativity thrives inside structure. Chaos just burns energy. That's why Trini creativity explodes abroad, because structure gives it somewhere to land. At home, creativity drowns in excuses. Here's another mirror. Trinis abroad don't say, I go late today, they go understand. They don't say, rules is just guidelines. They don't say, I know the manager. They don't say, I go handle it later. They say, let me reach early. Let me follow procedure. Let me not draw attention. Why? Because abroad, attention is expensive. In Trinidad, attention is entertainment. That difference is killing us. Let's talk about enforcement trauma. Because some people swear enforcement is abuse. Ticket equals harassment. Fine equals victimization. Inspection equals oppression. But somehow, when those same things happen abroad, it's just the law. Interesting how perspective changes when the law actually works. Here's the part nobody wants to hear. A society that can't tolerate enforcement will never tolerate progress. Because progress requires saying no, enforcing standards, disappointing people, being called names. And Trinidad is terrified of being disliked. So we smile, we excuse, we soften, we bend, and then we complain. Let me put it bluntly. Trinidad is not being held back. Trinidad is letting itself go. Slowly, politely, comfortably. Death by vibes. You know what's wild? Trinis abroad defend strict systems. They'll say, that's how it's supposed to be. You can't play with them people. You have to do things properly there. But back home, why they so strict? Why they acting like that? Why they making life hard? Same behavior, different tolerance. That contradiction should haunt you. Here's the quiet part out loud. Trinidad doesn't want order. It wants selective freedom. Freedom to break rules. Freedom to bend systems. Freedom to avoid consequences. But it also wants safety, efficiency, development, results. You don't get both. Pick one. Every developed country made the same choice. They chose discomfort first. They chose enforcement over empathy, standards over feelings, consistency over popularity. And yes, people complained. They always do. Then things worked. Meanwhile, in Trinidad, we keep asking, why nothing working, while rejecting the very tools that make things work. That's not confusion. That's self-sabotage. Here's the line that's going to sting. If Trinidad enforced discipline tomorrow, most people would hate it. Not criminals, regular people. Because discipline exposes habits. It removes shortcuts. It kills excuses. And excuses are comfortable. So let's end with this. If discipline only works when someone is watching, Was discipline ever there to begin with? Sit with that. If this episode made you uncomfortable, good. That means the excuses are running out. Subscribe, because next time, we're talking about why accountability scares Trinis more than crime itself. And that one is going to hurt. Until then, ask yourself,